about that when we get to our discussion segment this morning. But let's kickstart with this particular development. Building collapse have become a daily reoccurrence in Nigeria, especially with the recent flooding that has been happening. According to a report from the Building Collapse Prevention Guild, Nigeria has witnessed 604 building collapse in the last 50 years, with Lagos State accounting for 57.28, that's 28% of recorded incident. The recent being the building collapse at Arowojobe Estate in Maryland area of Lagos, where 5 persons have been confirmed dead. Further investigation from the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Olufemi Okeosontolu, revealed that the structure was already weak and fragile. Let's take a listen to this particular development.
This is Wilson Mba Street in Arowojobe area of Maryland, where the building under construction collapsed overnight. An eyewitness whose building is next to the affected site says she was forced to wake up at midnight to discover the unfortunate incident.
Like around past 1 in the night, I heard the noise of a neighbor shouting, "Lamp, lamp, lamp, lamp." That was when I woke up. That what happened. So when I came outside, I saw that the building was already collapsed.
A critical look at our own building, it was obvious that it's already caving in, as findings from safety officials at the site of the building collapse proved that most of the houses in the area cannot stand the test of time. On this same street, some newly built houses are already being put up for sale, which raises more safety concerns. This woman insists that her building is not under any form of threat.
Not at all. It wasn't under threat because all the papers were completed there. Everything was done accordingly.
One of the laborers who was working on another site and came with some of those who were trapped in the unfortunate incident from Ibadan was very emotional when he realized that those he saw a few hours ago might be dead.
About 6 of them, we came from the same street, the same area, eat together, do most things together. So maybe they are dead like this. I don't even know the actual thing that is wrong with them like this.
None of the emergency responders spoke to the press, but we gathered that there is an assessment ongoing to determine what next.
Emergency responders are bringing the building down to ground zero. And I can tell you that even though a lot of people were trapped in this building, 5 persons were confirmed dead and 5 persons are receiving treatment in the hospital. What is more concerning though is the fact that there are some buildings in this area which might need to undergo integrity tests. Because of the situation at hand, a lot of people in this area are agitated. They don't know what is going to be their fate. Ayomide Ajegbe, TVC News, Lagos.
Very sad development there. Now, joining us in the studio is the former General Manager, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Tiamiu Adesoya. Additional, many thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Good morning to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
These are sad developments at this time. The reoccurrence of building collapse in Lagos is becoming worrisome. What do you make of this?
Without sounding like an alarmist, we should expect, things like this, especially at this time. One, we all know the terrain of Lagos. You have issues with marshy lands. You have issue with quackery within the building industry. You have issue with, enforcement of laws, codes of building, and all of this. And then beside, some of these buildings are visibly distressed. You have them all over Lagos. We should take the bull by the horns, go straight in, and bring down buildings that is likely to endanger lives. It is not as if we don't see some of this on our streets. Look at the Arowojobe incident we're talking about. Somebody somewhere in the news was talking about the building being rushed. I don't know. Who enforce building codes? There's also the issue of not following government-approved plans. But the only thing is that if you have people who monitors what happens around you, that's where all of us come in. see something, say something, see something. This is where we all should support government to ensure that this does not happen. Lagos is under, below sea level. We all know. And we don't even have enough lands. So people tend to encroach on what ordinarily should be wetlands. The whole of Arowojobe, you remember the last time government went in there, to bring down some properties, to create room for, the canals there. Yes, everybody was shouting and all of this, but those are necessary things to do. It's a flooded area, if you remember. The whole of that area is flooded whenever it rains. What happens when rain falls? Why is it that during rainy season is when you have this? That is when weak properties are exposed. They cannot withstand the inclement weather when it comes in, and then it becomes everybody trying to patch structures and all of that. I watch in your, the promo now, where a woman was saying, my building is only distressed. It's not bad. I mean, is she a technician or a technical person to say that? You don't have to listen to that. Go in there on integrity test. If the structure passes integrity test, it stays. If it fails, it goes down. That's simple.
And for every collapse that happens like this, just for us to understand the severity of this situation, for every collapse that happens, the government promises to, put other buildings around under an integrity test. And most times we see that the situation has to, go beyond control before this can be done. So just educate us, at what point exactly should the integrity test be done? Before the building is constructed, at the point of laying the foundation, or when the building is completed?
Now, you see, even though I may not be completely in the know, but I know that before you construct a building in Lagos or anywhere, first of all, you must acquire land. Government must give you land document. Part of what they check is whether it is for commercial purposes or for agricultural purposes. Then there are those who are strictly for, residential. When you pass that, you go on to now, submit your building plan to government. Government gives you step-by-step approval that you must take. When you clear the land, you inform the authorities. When you will want to begin the foundation, they will tell you, because number one, the foundation you will do in Victoria Island will be different than the one you will do in Shomolu, depending on the terrain you're building on. And as you progress at every stage before you run your decking, you must bring them in. Integrity test could be at any point. You see, when you are talking of it is by them taking samples, bringing equipment. Yes, it's standing well. I've been told that there are machines you bring in and it vibrates the building. If it's strong and survive that, that means the foundation is okay. So at some point in time, at each point of building, government is supposed to come and certify it and give you.
How efficient is the government agency in charge of building in Lagos, LASCA, doing to ensure that buildings are safe to house lives of human beings?
You see, the truth must be told. We cannot put all of the blames on government alone. There may be failures. But how about the citizen participation in governance? This is democracy. One, LASCA, do we even know their staff strength? We push all these blames to them. I have had cause to blame them in the past. I worked with them before. But the truth is Lagos is so big, vast, and there are people within the local government who also should put their eyes on this. Everybody, almost everybody want to cut corners. Because the truth is that at each point where you get this certification, you pay money. And that's what Nigerians don't like to pay. Ordinary land use charge. How many people pay? Now the truth is, yes, Lagos State Building Control Agency have a lot of blame in this. And that is because they are the supervisory agency, including the Ministry of Physical Planning. Physical Planning Department. They have a role to play in this. So we will situate the blame to them, but the truth is how well have we helped them? Because we need to let them know. Now, within your street, for example, they put do not build or construction stopped. And then somebody comes in the night while they were asleep. They don't have the capacity to put men on there. They don't have capacity to put foot on ground. So they will do their bit, go, and then they send people to come and monitor. It depends on the volume of work they have and the number of staff covering that area to be able to say every day I must come in here. If you come on a Monday and you shut down a building and the evening they start and you plan to come again on Thursday, within 3 days the structure is almost up. What do? Shut you down. So the willpower to do the right thing, the government must give them. The government must give them. They know what to do.
So let's also talk about what you mentioned about, quackery in that industry. We had a surveyor come to the show. He also lamented the fact that many Nigerians try to, boycott having to pay for most things, especially buildings, where they use contractors or ordinary persons on the street to just make sure a building is completed. He also raised the issue about the quality of building materials. That's another thing. You go on the street where they're constructing and you can actually feel the blocks, very light. It's not even strong enough to hold the building. So these are some of the issues. How should this be addressed? Because many persons are resorting to using non-professionals, and probably that's what is fueling this crisis.
You see, it should be a concerted effort. One, the professional bodies, they have roles to also play in this. We cannot just leave the space to quacks. What do? Building goes on under construction every day in Lagos. They must have a unit within their professional bodies that should go in there and check. In fact, they should be the one to alert government now. Because every structure should have, a board advertising the contractor, the kind of project, the duration, and all of that. Immediately you go into a site and you are able to see on the board who is handling it. You can run a check on your membership. Find out, because there have been issues where even members of their association were involved in failed projects. How well did they handle it? What I mean is discipline. We must be able to enforce rules. We must be ready to punish bad behaviors. It's there all over. We've had so many building collapses in Lagos. Who has been publicly announced to have been jailed?
And whose fault is that?
Well, it is the fault. We will put it to government because, I cannot go and enforce rules. You cannot. Even the professional body, the worst you could do is take people to court. And how long do you get justice within our court system? In fact, there are a lot of other more important things for them to determine. So for me, professional bodies must come together. Within the built sector, they must all come together. The surveyors, the valuers, the engineers, the builders, the electrical person, the plumbing person. Let all of us come together. Let's talk about this. Because it is good. 5 lives lost in such incident at Arowojobe. Come on, these are 5 families affected. And you can imagine the impact in their lives. Somebody may be a widow today. Some children are fatherless just because somebody was careless. And you cannot blame these menial workers. They are looking for a way to earn a living. Somebody invite them to come and just maybe chip sand. And they are caught up in this. And some will have, you have the issue with people living in construction sites. I'm sure there are rules that says construction must stop 6 p.m. in Lagos State. But we have seen situations where people construct overnight. So what happens? So people live within that environment.
In that scenario, so how do the Lagos State agency that is in charge of building ensure that there are quality equipment in building? Because when you build overnight, how do they monitor all this?
No. I don't know if it is even allowed. That's number one. So, primarily, if I have a structure and you are building next to me, and you're going to be building 9 o'clock, I see people. What effort did I make to stop it? While I was in government, I remember there was a building that was about to collapse around the Ajao village, Arowojobe Estate in Antony. And the owner of the next property, who know he will suffer, raised the alarm and called somebody who now called me. And I asked them, put a call to the 767 system. Let's incident it. But I proceeded straight, and there were visible cracks. And I called the office to bring in men. And we moved those who were sleeping over there out. And I said, no, this building must go down this night. We have to evacuate people within the, 50, 30 meters surrounding, because it's a high-rise structure that was going on. And we had to bring it down. The owner was calling, the engineer there. No, I have this paper, I have that paper. But even while we were there, we began to hear crack. And, the excavator came. We have not even done the first work when a part of it came down on the roof of the man who called.
A similar incident like that, I think, happened around Yaba, Lagos also,
yes.
where they had to ask occupants of a building to
move.
leave.
Yes.
It was a very high-rise building, and they were actually complaining to the media to, say they were not given notice. I don't know if that is actually possible. But for viewers who, maybe say they do not own a building, and most times the burden of having to test whether a building is strong is really not on them and not the landlord. For tenants, especially in Lagos, where we have a larger population of persons renting buildings, how do you recognize this kind of buildings
Distressed.
for your own safety?
Distressed building.
Distress to you and I have visible cracks that you see.
Well, for some buildings, you may not,
You may
some
not
persons
see it.
may not.
And that's the difficulty in all of this. For instance, I also live in a place. I am not sure of the integrity, but I've been there for some time, and I know I have not have to repair anything major. So I assume it is okay. It is like that for so many of us who live in Lagos. But the moment you see visible cracks, there are things you could look out for. When you begin to see building growing, mucus and all of that on the side, definitely you understand. That's a sign that this is a wetland. Watch out. Make a report. Find out from the landlord. And, is it easy for you to say, okay, I want to move into your properties? Can I see the document that you pass all of these tests? It's difficult. But you see, looking at
the housing deficit that we have in the country,
that's going to be very difficult.
Very, very,
that's
very,
going to be very difficult.
Well, former General Manager at Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, TMU, Addition, many thanks for
Thank you very much.
joining us
Thank you
on
for having
the
me.
program
Thank you for having
this morning. All right, so we'll go on a break and return with the news.